Let me tell you that there's nothing that makes you appreciate leaving a douchebag than knowing you have a place to go, but not being able to go there yet. I really feel for those of you in the Facebook forums who are planning your exit. I remember the anxiety and anticipation of almost being free. It was one of the most painful times of my life, being somewhere I hated being. It was sad, too, because I lived in a cute little cabin in the woods, overlooking a river and a stream. It would have been an amazing life if it wasn't for the toxic person ruining it for all of us. DB had surprisingly agreed to a divorce, so he knew I was preparing to leave. I didn't know why he was being so agreeable, but I was grateful and went with it. Red flag number 1. He never separated voluntarily. I always left. I wasn't in immediate danger, so I didn't have to go to a shelter or live in my car. Instead, I had to wait an entire month for my apartment to open up. Luckily, it was 40 miles away, so it wasn't convenient for DB to harass me whenever the mood struck him. That wasn't by design. That was just how it worked out. So I spent the next month getting ready to move out. I combed the secondhand stores for cheap housewares for my new place. I was figuratively chewing my leg off to get out of the trap that I was in, and I made it more bearable by shopping and planning. I still remember the frustration to this day. So while I was organizing my boxes in the shed in anticipation of my move, he says, "Don't go spending a lot of money in case you come back." Red flag number 2. I sensed that he wasn't going to fully let go. I thought, screw you. When I'm out of here, I'm never coming back. But I kept my mouth shut. Red flag number 3 was that shortly before I left, he asked me if he could go to church with me. What was I supposed to say? No? So he went to church with me up to the day I left, and then I found a church closer to my apartment. Church or no church, I didn't want our marriage repaired at this point. I wanted out. I know myself well enough that even if he made a major turnaround, I would still have triggers about the past, and I didn't want to be with the person who caused them. Mere days before my move, DB had an accident at work that resulted in a concussion. This delay frustrated me more than you may know, but I felt a commitment and delayed my departure to get him back on his feet. I would learn later that I should have just left him for someone else to take care of, but I was under the false impression that there was good in him. Not bitter. It's a fact that I would learn over time. As I was leaving the hospital after his surgery, 3 of his coworkers, 2 men and a woman, met me at the elevator. The woman asked for my permission to see him. I thought, that was very polite, and went on my way. DB was a horrible patient. He was rude, demanding, abusive, and obnoxious. He made me sorry that I had stayed. I stuck around long enough for him to recover and then moved out. DB did no work in the child exchange. He expected me to go to his house to pick them up, and not wanting to make waves, I just did it. And the first time I entered his house, here's what I observed. A coffee maker on the counter. He didn't drink coffee and hated my habit. He had continually berated me for drinking coffee and pressured me to put my coffee maker under the counter, which I had refused to do. There was a feminine bedspread on the bed. It was a small house, and you could see into the bedroom from almost anywhere in the house, as the door was always propped open. He already had a girlfriend. Later, I would learn that it was the woman at the elevator. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that all of those ski trips were not ski trips at all. This is the first moment where I learned that he was a habitual liar. It turned out that I would learn more about this guy when divorcing him than I ever knew, having been married to him for 6 years. So much went through my head. The first was a little cheer. Yay, he's moved on. And the next was, you fuck. If you wanted to be with her, why didn't you just say so? Why did we have to play stupid, wasteful games? If I'd known you wanted to be with her, I would have bid you both good luck. And the third came later. As I would often ruminate on the subject, I realized that the first moment that I walked in and saw the evidence of another woman, he expected me to be jealous, and I disappointed him. Yay me! So did he think that I was so stupid that I didn't notice? Or did he realize that I no longer cared? I'm guessing it was the first, because when I brought it up at a later date, he tried to deny it happened. What do you think was going on here? I didn't say anything, because as far as I was concerned, good. If he was occupied, he would be leaving me alone. I got used to keeping my thoughts to myself with him, so I didn't say anything. It was none of my business anyway. As far as I was concerned, he was not my problem anymore, or so I thought. The first time DB came to my apartment to exchange the kids, he sat down on my sofa and really looked around. I could almost hear the thoughts in his head. I was not living amongst boxes and pining for him. He again overestimated his importance and underestimated my ability to survive without him. I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. Amazing things started to happen for me when I got out of a toxic house. I think I had been in my apartment for a month before my phone rang early one morning. The douchebag announced that he had broken up with her and wanted to get back together. I had predicted this coming, as he had dropped several hints previous that he was not fully committed to a divorce. He thought that when he was done playing, he could just whistle and I'd come a-running. He had disrupted my and my children's lives so that he could play house with his girlfriend and bring me back when he got bored. Bonus points for disrupting her life, too. There was no end to this man's selfishness. And he wouldn't be seeing her at work because he got fired for having a dirty drug test from his accident. And this is where I made my first mistakes. I told him that I had moved on and there was no getting back together. He actually begged. It gives me pleasure to think about it now, but at the time, all I wanted was to be two adults who went separate ways. Added bonus, he was making me late for work, and he knew it. What would unfold for the next few years would be a continuation of his emotional blackmail and abuse, but on a different playing field. It was like a video game. I win one level just to advance to a faster and more sucky level. If I were to go back in time and counsel my younger self, I would have said this. Hand him back to his mother. She made him. He's been evil up to this point, and he's going to repay you with evil. And when you see the bedspread, pretend to be really angry about it. And for Pete's sake, keep the boyfriend thing to yourself. And most of all, stop playing nice. He had not yet showed me the full range of his douchebaggery. I'm curious to this day. What was the real game here? Do you think getting me to move out of the house was a triangulation game from the start? Why didn't he start the triangulation before I left? Do you think that he wanted to be with her and then realized that he lost my income? Maybe he realized that he had to start over training someone new? Did she leave voluntarily and he found himself alone? Tell me what you think in the comments, and thanks for watching.